Welcome, dear friends. This is an introductory lecture on multi-pressure systems. Vapor compression refrigeration systems, they are the two pressure systems, meaning that it operates between the lower pressure, which is the evaporator pressure, also called as suction pressure. Single section pressure is there, and there is a single discharge pressure, or what is known as a condenser pressure. So when you are talking about multi-pressure systems, what we are referring to is more than two pressures. So your regular vapor compression refrigeration system is a two pressure system. And what we would be learning today is the multi-pressure systems, meaning there would be more than two pressures. So how this two pressure systems, more than two pressure systems function, and why are they necessary, that would also be discussed. We would be discussing two types of multi-pressure systems. They are very relevant and very practically used in the real life engineering. One is the multi-stage compression system, and other is known as the multi-evaporator system. So from the name, if you think about the terminology which is being used here, so multi-stage compression system would mean that the compression is in multiple stages, and multi-evaporator system would mean that more than one evaporator is used. Okay, so this is a very general kind of understanding we get from the terms which we use. So let us now just have a overview of this multi-pressure systems, especially the multi-staging compression system. So as I said, the outcome expected in this lecture is that the students would be able to appreciate the multi-staging and multi-evaporating kind of systems, that is multi-pressure systems. And at the outset, I had already defined multi-staging as the one where we use more than one compressor, and multi-evaporator as where we use more than one evaporator. Why do we use multi-pressure systems? So obviously the reason for using a multi-pressure system would be the disadvantages associated with the two-stage system, two-pressure system. So what are the disadvantages of two-stage system? One disadvantage, which is very prominent disadvantage, is the performance. The performance of two-pressure system is extremely low when the pressure ratios are high. Now, what do you understand by the pressure ratios being high? We define the pressure ratio as the ratio between the condenser pressure and evaporator pressure. So when the pressure ratio has to be high, so from a mathematical perspective, when you are saying that the pressure ratio is a ratio of condenser pressure to the evaporator pressure, so from a mathematical perspective, either the numerator, that is the condenser pressure, has to be high, or the denominator, which is the evaporator pressure, has to be low, or both. Okay, so when is the case that the evaporator pressure is too low? Evaporator pressure is too low when the temperatures which we want to achieve, they are fairly lower. As I said that, for example, in food freezing applications, we would be aiming for extremely low temperatures in some -degrees centigrade. Okay, and if you want to have the systems, the evaporators giving you minus temperatures, right? Example in the food freezing sector, then we need to keep the evaporator at extremely low pressure. Similarly, if there are situations where the ambient temperature is very high, in that case, the condensate pressure is too high. So in such a scenario, in such applications and in such environmental conditions, we might encounter high pressure ratios. So when there are high pressure ratios, the two pressure systems would present clear disadvantages. And then we need to go for multi-pressure systems. So that is a fundamental point, fundamental understanding one must have. Let me go to the next point. Uh, as I said, multi-pressure systems, when you are saying multi-pressure systems, uh, we need to understand when should one go for multi-staging and when should one use a multi-evaporator system, or in the next lecture we would be discussing cascading and multi-evaporator system. Then when should one go for cascading, what is cascading and what is multi-evaporator system. So this fundamental understanding one should have when we talk about the multi-pressure systems. So for the present purpose, we have said that unlike in the simple vapor compression system, multi-evaporator systems either use multiple compressors, or they would use multiple evaporators, or they would use a phenomena called as cascading. When do we use multi-stage compression system, or another term which is commonly used in industry is compound compression. So compound compression, meaning that you compress the refrigerant in 2 or more stages. That is advisable as a thumb rule when the pressure ratio, that is the condenser pressure to the evaporator pressure, is greater than 4 or 5. Okay. So this is a thumb rule. It is not that we need to be, when we are talking about refrigeration systems, we need to be very careful about using thumb rules, because we need to be careful about the properties of the refrigerant which is being used, and what kind of refrigerating effect and specific compressor work that refrigerant properties will yield when you plot the actual systems. So that is a fundamental thing that would be obtained only after doing some rigorous calculations. But as a thumb rule, one needs to keep in mind that if the pressure ratio, that is the condenser pressure to the evaporator pressure, is greater than 4 or 5, then it is advisable, or it is advisable to explore the possibility of using the compound compression. And as I said, that when you are using two pressure compression systems, the systems becomes inefficient at higher pressure ratios. And why is that so? That is because when we talked about the pressure enthalpy diagram and we talked about the representation of the process of compression, we discussed a very fundamental point wherein we said that when you are compressing along the constant pressure line, and as you draw the constant pressure line, and as the constant pressure line moves away from the saturation curve, that line becomes flatter. Okay, meaning that if you move away from the saturation curve towards a high pressure, that is a condenser pressure, that line separates out from the saturation curve, and the delta H across the compressor, that is a specific enthalpy difference across the compressor, which is ultimately going to decide the power consumption of the system, that would be moved. Okay, so we need to make sure that the compression line comes closer to the saturation curve. And how do you do that? So if you want to make that compression line closer to the saturation curve, we need to use multi-staging and intercooling in between. Okay, so that arrangement is called as multi-staging. So how do you do that? So one of the ways of doing it is that we can use a heat exchanger in between. So between a low stage compression and a high stage compression, one can use a heat exchanger with water as a coolant. Okay, so what would happen in that case? So in this case, for example, as shown in this figure, you would have a low stage compression from 1 to let us say 2, which is an intermediate pressure, and then the curve would move closer to the saturation curve because of the constant pressure cooling achieved in the water cooled heat exchanger. So 2 to 3 would be a constant pressure cooling, and 2 would be at a higher temperature and 3 would be at a lower temperature, and that state 3 would be closer to the saturation curve. So by using a water cooled heat exchanger, what we have achieved is intercooling between the two stages. So when the refrigerant comes closer to the saturation curve at 3, then we move to a high stage compression. So instead of compressing the refrigerant from the pressure P1 to the pressure P4 directly, what in this case is done is that we use an external water cooled heat exchanger and achieve a intercooling, so that the curve of compression remains closer to the saturation curve, and because of this the enthalpy difference would be lower as compared to a single stage compression, meaning that the compression work would be less. There is another way of using intercooling, and that is called as use of a flash chamber. So as you see from this diagram, what you say is that the flash chamber, yeah, the flash chamber or the flash tank has a refrigerant liquid, and there is some space for, there is a flash tank, and there is the refrigerant entering into the flash tank. Okay, so what you find is that from one is the inlet to the low stage compression, and two is the exit of the low stage compression. So you have achieved compression in the low stage, and the refrigerant goes to the flash tank. So when the refrigerant goes to the flash tank, the refrigerant is actually bubbled into the flash tank. Now what is that in the flash tank? In the flash tank, you would find that there is a liquid refrigerant. Okay, so the gaseous refrigerant, high temperature refrigerant at state 2 would be bubbled into the liquid refrigerant, as a result of which there would be intercooling. Okay, so this is called as a flash intercooling. Okay, and then the cooled refrigerant, which would be now at the state 3, would be given as an input to the high stage compression. So let us be clear on this, that what is how is the intercooling achieved using a flash chamber, flash tank. What we do is that the refrigerant from the low stage compression, which would be at a high temperature T2, is bubbled into the liquid refrigerant into the flash tank, as a result of which there would be an intercooling of this refrigerant from T2 to T3. This cooled refrigerant is then sent to the high stage compression. In this way, we achieve intercooling by using a flash chamber. Okay, so have a look at the flash chamber, which is shown in this figure, and you would get an idea about how this bubbling happens and how this mist free vapor, which is at state 3, is sent into the high stage compression. Okay, this is a very interesting sketch, and look at this sketch where we talked about the bubbling of this refrigerant from the state 2. What is the state 1? State 1 is the state of the refrigerant entering the first stage compression. Okay, what is the state 2? State 2 is the state of the refrigerant being discharged from the first stage compressor. And you see that the state 2, the temperature is high, right? 2 to 3, as we discussed in the last slide, is flash intercooling, where the refrigerant is bubbled into the flash tank, and the flash tank acts as an intercooler, and it comes out at the state 3. State 3 you see is on the saturation curve, meaning that it is dry saturated gas. This dry saturated gas, which is obtained after intercooling. So state 2 is a superheated gas, and state 3 is a dry saturated gas. So the process 2 to 3 is desuperheating or cooling, which has happened in the flash intercooling intercooler. And this gas at 3 goes to the high stage compressor, and it gets compressed up to the state 4. Now what is 4 to 5? 4 to 5, what you say is the condensation. Okay, 4 to 5 is the condensation. 5 is the exit of the condenser, and 5 to 6 is an expansion in one valve, and 5 to 7 is the expansion in the other valve. Okay, so what you see over here is, and I will explain you this, that there is no flash removal in this case. So what is flash removal? That I will come to later, but try to understand this schematic. Let me repeat this again. 1 to 2 is a compression in the first stage compressor. 2 to 3 is a intercooling in the flash intercooler. 3 to 4 is the compression in the second stage compressor, that is a high pressure compressor. And 4 to 5 is a condensation. 5 to 6 is an expansion in the expansion valve 1, you can call this as 1, and 5 to 7 is an expansion in the expansion valve 2. Okay, Now, this figure you need to keep in mind because we are saying that this is a figure of multi-staging with flash intercooling without flash gas removal. So we have not yet discussed what is flash gas removal. Okay, and we would be discussing this flash gas removal, and this is a very interesting concept and very important one when you want to achieve higher efficiency in the multi-stage system. So let us move to the case where we talk about the flash gas removal. Now, what is this flash gas removal? Let me go to the earlier slide again. See, when you are talking about expansion from 5 to 6, okay, so 6 is, what is the state at 6? So 6 is the wet vapor, meaning what? This, at the state 6, you would have some liquid, you would have some gas. How much is the liquid here? It would correspond to this. And how much is the gas here? It would correspond to this, right? That is on the G line, right? So this would have some liquid and some gas. Similarly, what is state 7? State 7 is again a wet vapor wherein you would have some liquid and some gas. Now, what is the problem of having the gas, or what is the problem of having a wet vapor vis-a-vis a case where you would have a complete liquid? You need to understand that evaporator is the heat exchanger which converts the liquid refrigerant to a gaseous refrigerant. Okay, so when you are talking about a liquid refrigerant being converted to gaseous refrigerant, this happens because of absorption of latent heat in the evaporator. Now, when you are talking about absorption of latent heat, we know that this is the most efficient way of heat exchange. If we have in a heat exchanger some gases, then that effectiveness of the heat exchange would be less. Okay, so we need to get rid of the gases which do not participate in the cooling process, and that is called as a flash gas removal. So what is flashing? Flashing means when you are expanding the refrigerant in the expansion wall, the refrigerant which is at state 5 is a liquid refrigerant, and after expansion, some of the liquid refrigerant because of expansion gets converted to gas. So this phenomenon of the liquid refrigerant getting converted to gas because of expansion is called as flashing. So because of this flashing, there would be some flash gas associated with the liquid refrigerant. This is a very central and important concept, that because of expansion in the expansion device, there would be some liquid refrigerant and there would be some flash gas. And this flash gas is not at all desirable. Its presence is not desirable in the evaporator, and hence it is a good idea. What is a good idea? It is a good idea to remove the flash gas before it enters the evaporator. The flash gas has to be removed and sent back to the compressor so that the effectiveness of the refrigeration system is improved. And that is what is attempted by using a configuration as is shown over here. So what you see over here is now the liquid refrigerant from the condenser. This is an arrangement where you are trying to remove the flash gas. So what is the arrangement over here? The liquid refrigerant from the condenser is expanded up to the flash chamber pressure, and the flash gases are removed. Okay, how are they removed? Look at the arrangement of the expansion wall. So there is a float wall and there is an expansion wall. So the refrigerant from the condenser is sent into the flash tank, and then at 8 you are removing the refrigerant. Okay, so this is a different arrangement. If you compare this arrangement with this arrangement, the earlier arrangement, what you are seeing is you are expanding it from 5 to 6 and 5 to 7. Okay, and in this arrangement, what you are doing is that you are expanding it from up to the intermediate pressure, and then you are expanding it back from the flash tank pressure, which is intermediate pressure, up to the evaporator pressure by taking only the liquid into the flash expansion wall. So the difference here is you are at state 8. At the state 8, as shown in this figure, we are using only the liquid refrigerant at the entry to the expansion wall, whereas in this earlier case, it is the liquid plus vapor. For example, in this case, from 6 to 7, if you compare, it is a liquid plus vapor which is being expanded. So unnecessarily, we are carrying the flash gas, and then you are compressing that flash gas, which is not contributing in the compression phenomena in the case without flash gas removal, which is an inefficient case. Okay, so this is the most desirable thing to do, a very advantageous thing to do, that we need to remove the flash gas, okay, at the state 8, and we need to expand from the intermediate pressure only the liquid refrigerant up to the evaporator pressure. So this is seen from the diagram over here. Okay, so look at this diagram and convince yourselves what is happening. So from 6 to 7, what you are doing is that you are having a throttling. Okay, then from 7 to 8, what you are having is you are having the flash gas removal. Okay, 7 to 8, you are having the flash gas removal. Okay, and look at this 8. As I said, 8 is not the refrigerant with the flash gas. Your flash gas has already been removed and sent to the state 4. Okay, flash gas is removed and sent to the, look at this diagram also. Here you are removing the flash gas and sending it to the state 4. Okay, and only the liquid which is left is expanded from the intermediate pressure 8 to 9. So here the entry to the expansion wall 2 is the liquid refrigerant. Okay, and in the earlier case it was you are expanding directly from 6 to 7 and 6 to 8, whatever. Okay, so this was a vertical line in the earlier case. Now you have a zigzag line, so 6 to 7 and 7 to 8 and then 8 to 9. So if you compare this figure with the earlier one, this figure, so the refrigerating effect, which is the enthalpy difference across the evaporator, that is in this case H1 minus H7, is less than this case. You see that if it was expanded from 6 to 8 directly, the refrigerating effect would have been less. Here what you find is that because of removal of flash gas, you are getting a gain in the refrigerating effect. From H1 to H9 is now the new refrigerating effect because of flash gas removal. So this is a complete arrangement of multi-staging, very desirable arrangement of multi-staging, where let me explain this figure now for you, where we will discuss all the cases. One is the entry to the compressor 1, low stage compression. 2 is the exit of the compressor 1. 2 to 3 is water intercooling. 2 to 3 is water intercooling, where you come closer to the saturation curve. 3 to 4 is you are having a flash intercooling, where you end up to the saturation saturation gas curve. And then 4 to 5 is a high stage compression in the compressor 2. 5 to 6 is the condensation phenomena. 6 to 7, you are achieving throttling. 7 to 8, you are achieving flash gas removal. And 8 to 9, you are again achieving throttling. So this is an arrangement where you are getting a complete multi-stage system with the advantages of flash gas removal as well as advantages of intercooling. So this is a introductory lecture, as I said, on multi-pressure systems, and hopefully you have appreciated the concepts. In the next class, we will discuss it in more detail, okay, along with some numericals. So you need to attempt the quiz now, okay, on the app which we had recommended. Thank you very much. Bye for now.